Video 3. And one day in my room when I was absolutely miserable, I didn't know what happened to me or why it happened to me. I just said, Lord, God, how in the world did I go from this incredible joy all those years as a child, up till I was like 16? But all that's changed on the inside of me. My sweet has turned to this terrible bitter, and it weighs me down and depresses me and oppresses me every day. Why? What for? How come? Man, that was my heart's cry to God, because I didn't have spiritual understanding. I didn't have the wisdom of God. It was available. It's available to all. It's been outpoured. The Christ has been outpoured, and through him, all the treasures of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding has been outpoured for you and I to drink from. But I wasn't drinking. Didn't know you were supposed to. I was just living my life. And I said something in my room that God wasn't pleased with. I made my verbal complaint. I said, I'll tell you what I said. I said I was frustrated and deeply depressed. I complained a lot, grumbled and griped a lot, especially when I was alone. I wasn't alone this day. There's more to this, but I'm just kind of, to save time, getting to the point. And right after I said that I was, made the complaint, the gripe, the grumbling, that I was frustrated and deeply depressed, the Lord spoke audibly. I was standing up, and to my left, up toward the ceiling, I could not see him, but I definitely heard him. The moment I made that gripe and complaint that I was frustrated and deeply depressed, right after that came these 3 words. Watch your tongue. It was so loud. There was people present in my room. It was so loud, I figured they heard it. Anybody in that house heard it. I heard it as clear as if my earthen dad, that loved us dearly, shouted it. It had the tone in it of someone with authority. It had a tone in it of someone who cared. It had the tone in it of someone who was trying to get me to wake up. It had the tone in it like it was somebody trying to get me to see what I need to do in that area. Watch your tongue. And do you know, I was so spiritually dumb. And I'm not the brightest kid on the block today, but at 18, 19 years old, folks, man, I was cheek and chum, if you know what I mean. The people in the room, they saw me shake at it because it was powerful spoken to me. And they inquired, "You okay?" I said, "Did you hear that?" And they said, "Hear what?" I said, "You didn't just hear that? I mean, I don't see how they couldn't have heard it." They gave me that little look, like I was, losing my mind. I said, you mean to tell me you didn't hear that? They said, "Hear what, Dino?" I said, "How could you not have heard that?" They looked at one another. Then they looked at me. I'm looking at them. And here now in my little peanut brain, I'm trying to think, What's that supposed to mean? Watch my tongue. Watch your tongue. And then, I thought about what I said. All I said was that I was frustrated and deeply depressed. Now, folks, let me tell you something. I was a cusser in those days. I cussed like a sailor. I had a filthy mouth. And I had said all kinds of those four-letter words repetitiously, Went out there, we were doing the coke and we were doing the weed and we were doing the black mollies and the purple dot and the acid. There was all kinds of things we said that was ugly. Mom would call them vulgar words, ungodly conversations. But that's how we were outside Mom and Dad's house. And I never heard God in those days tell me, watch my tongue. Now, my mom and dad tried to get me to watch my tongue. When I was a kid and my mouth would get a little unruly, after church, they would take me to the bathroom. Stick your tongue out, son. Oh, Mom, Dad, nope. Boy, you ain't going to be talking like that. And they'd wash my mouth out with soap. And it happened more than once. Trying to get me to see. Don't talk like that, Dino. Well, I'd get over that. When they weren't looking, I'd lap, 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 lap again. I remember one day, now I'm a grown young man coming back from work, got to the house, still living under the roof, Mom and Dad's roof. And the door was locked and the key was not in place and I couldn't get in the house. And, that old ugly side of Dino, began to surface. And I was starting to get upset. And, I was in that cuss, holler, spit mood because I had someplace to go and I needed to get in the house. Well, strange how Mom's car suddenly pulled up in the driveway. Melody, our younger sister, she's driving. Now, I didn't know Mom was in the car. Did not know it. Melody gets out the car and she's looking at me and I just start cussing like a sailor in rage. And I wasn't holding anything back. Yakety yak. I mean, it was ugly, folks. And all of a sudden, my mom popped her head up on the other side of that car and just gave me the look like, who in the world are you? A preacher's son that they used to delight in for years. It just shocked her. When I saw her, I thought, ugh. But then, I even just blah, 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 a little bit more, venting my frustration. I'd pay for it later. You can't dishonor your mom and dad, and the Lord let you get away with it. But I wished I could take a lot of those words back and a lot of things I did back, but it is what it is. Thank God for the blood of Jesus. But I'll never forget Mom's face. But I didn't hear from God right then. Boy, watch your tongue. Now, I knew I shouldn't have been saying those things, but I was so mad I heck with it. But the day I complained and griped and said I was frustrated and deeply depressed, boom! I heard from the other side, watch your tongue. God was trying to get over unto me what needed to be gotten over to me, but I was too spiritually dumb to make the connection. More to come.